Imagine a move that could completely change the Vikings' defense, something that few fans are expecting, but that is starting to gain traction behind the scenes. A possibility that involves an extremely talented player, but one that also carries a huge question mark. A name that was once considered one of the best in the NFL at his position, but that, in recent years, has faced challenges that put his career in check. The question that arises is simple, but powerful. Could this bold bet be exactly what is needed to transform the Vikings into a truly dominant team? It is hard to believe that this could happen, so be sure to click the like button and come with me and I will tell you everything. There is a scenario brewing right now that could send shockwaves through the NFL and particularly ignite the Minnesota Vikings fan base. Imagine this for a second, the idea of Trevon Diggs, the former All-Pro cornerback from the Dallas Cowboys, wearing purple and gold and lining up at US Bank Stadium. Sounds like fantasy, right? Well, maybe not anymore. A recent report from Bleacher Report has sparked a wildfire of speculation by listing Trevon Diggs as a potential trade candidate. This isn't just idle chatter, this is rooted in the real financial and football pressures surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. Here's the hard truth, Trevon Diggs has dealt with serious injury setbacks over the last 2 seasons, suffering back-to-back season-ending injuries to the same knee. Despite being one of the premier playmakers in the league when healthy, this reality has opened the door for the Cowboys to consider moving on. According to Bleacher Report, the Cowboys could save over $9.6 million in cap space if they trade Diggs after June 1st. His contract is significant, a 5-year, $97 million extension signed in 2021, with cap hits escalating over the next few seasons. Specifically, $12.58 million in 2025, rising to $18 million in 2026, peaking at $23 million in 2027, and then settling at $21 million in 2028. The risk is clear. You're talking about a player with major injury concerns tied to a massive contract. But the reward? Game-changing. Trevon Diggs is one of the league's most dangerous ball-hawking corners when he's on the field. And this is where things get fascinating for the Minnesota Vikings. Brian Flores, one of the most aggressive and creative defensive minds in football, runs a system that historically elevates playmaking corners. Just think back to 2020, when Xavier Howard exploded under Flores with 10 interceptions, 20 passes defensed, and even a highlight reel one-handed interception against the Detroit Lions that still gets replayed today. Now, imagine that same scenario, but with Trevon Diggs in purple. If paired with Byron Murphy Jr., Diggs wouldn't be expected to shadow the opposition's number 1 receivers like Jamar Chase or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Instead, he would line up against the second option, a role he has never truly had in his career. That instantly upgrades the Vikings secondary in a way that feels both logical and lethal. Still, the conversation doesn't end with the contract or the scheme fit. Bleacher Report went as far as to say that acquiring Diggs could be done for as little as a 6th-round pick. That's right, 6th round. The Cowboys are motivated by the need to clear space for future extensions, notably cornerback Darren Bland and superstar edge rusher Micah Parsons. From Dallas's perspective, it makes sense. But from Minnesota's perspective, this could be highway robbery if Diggs regains his form. Of course, there's reason for skepticism. Is Trevon Diggs today more of a name than an actual top-tier player? Has the injury permanently dulled the explosiveness that made him so dangerous? There are no guarantees, but for the price of a 6th-round pick, it's the kind of gamble that could define a season or a front office's legacy. Think about the context here. The Vikings aren't in a full rebuild. They've built a strong foundation and are now in the phase of looking for that final piece, the cherry on top. The defensive line is reinforced with additions like Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. Brian Flores has completely revamped the defensive scheme, and now the question remains whether adding a risky but high-reward player like Diggs is worth it. From a roster perspective, the need at cornerback too is glaring. Right now, the competition features Isaiah Rodgers, Mekhi Blackmon, Jeff Okudah, and Dwight McGlothern. None of these names are locks, though Rodgers and Blackmon are viewed internally as the frontrunners. And the coaching staff has shown it won't pursue a corner unless it's someone who is a clear difference-maker, a Jalen Ramsey-type move. Does Diggs fit that bill despite the injury risks? That's the debate raging right now in Viking circles. Adding fuel to the speculation is the archetype that Brian Flores loves in his corners. Flores wants aggressive, instinctive players who are willing to gamble, traits that define Trevon Diggs. He's the kind of player who will jump a route for a pick six but could also get burned over the top for 30 yards if he guesses wrong. It's the classic boom or bust style that has both thrilled and frustrated Cowboys fans over the years. There's also the strategic angle. This might not be a move for today, it could be a deadline deal. If the Cowboys stumble out of the gate and start, say, 2-4, the pressure to offload salary and reset could push them to move Diggs for even less. On the flip side, the Vikings start their season with a very manageable schedule. There's a very real scenario where Minnesota comes out 4-1 or even 5-0, at which point a move for someone like Diggs shifts from luxury to necessity as the team gears up for a playoff push. But it's not just about the Diggs rumors stirring up headlines today. The Vikings also kicked off OTAs, and with that comes a whole new set of storylines that could shape the direction of this team over the next few months. None bigger than rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy stepping into the fire against one of the NFL's most complicated defensive minds in Brian Flores. For McCarthy, practice might actually be tougher than game day, considering how Flores disguises pressures and throws exotic looks at opposing quarterbacks. Flores' defense isn't just aggressive, it's chaos incarnate. With additions like Andrew Van Ginkel, Javon Hargrave, and Jonathan Allen up front, practices will feature relentless pressure. For McCarthy, every snap is going to be a crash course in pre-snap reads, post-snap adjustments, and rapid decision-making. If he can survive that, Sunday games might feel slow by comparison. That's not the only battle unfolding at OTAs. The wide receiver room is a massive question mark right now, especially with the expectation that Jordan Addison could be facing a 1 to 3 game suspension. Who steps up in his absence? There's Rondale Moore, Jalen Naylor, Ty James, Lucky Jackson, and even undrafted rookie Jalen Calhoun out of Texas, all fighting for their shot. This has been a recurring theme from Minnesota. Every year, an unknown wide receiver seems to pop in camp and force his way onto the 53-man roster. The question is, who will it be this year? The battle for CB2 is also heating up. While Rodgers and Blackman are the clear favorites, there's no shortage of intrigue there. Brian Flores personally pounded the table for Isaiah Rodgers in free agency, signaling major trust in his ability. Rodgers has graded out very well in limited snaps per PFF, and the expectation is that if he holds up with a bigger workload, the production stays steady. On the flip side, Blackman showed real flashes before tearing his ACL last offseason but is now fully healthy and ready to battle. And there's more. Quietly brewing under the radar is a potential shift in offensive identity. Will Kevin O'Connell lean more into a physical run-heavy look? Will there be more two tight end sets? Could we see fullback CJ get more run, or creative shotgun looks with both Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones flanking McCarthy? These are the questions the coaching staff is probing as OTAs ramp up. Even the offensive line isn't without its drama. While most assume rookie Donovan Jackson will fit right in at left guard, Kevin O'Connell's track record suggests he'll make Jackson earn it. Don't be surprised if, when the starting offensive line first lines up, it's Blake Brandel filling in at left guard. Jackson could eventually take over, but that battle is far from over. And with all this speculation, Vikings fans, I turn it over to you. Would you trade for Trevon Diggs if the price was a 2026 sixth-round pick? Is it worth the risk? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Like this video and subscribe. Go Vikings!